Do you sometimes wonder what's missing out of your ability to manifest? Do you sometimes get the feeling that there's more going on that you kind of need to work with? Well, it's possible that you are getting a sense of the fact that you need to work energy in two directions in order to manifest, and in order to manifest effectively. Now, it doesn't mean you haven't done it before, but it means that as you want to become aware of what's going on, then it's time to learn about two different flows that energy can take. I'm Kaylin, your abundance coach, and today I'm going to talk to you about how energy flows and about why that's important in your manifestation. So when it comes to energy, I want you to think about or do some research, and you will find that energy never vanishes. It's not like a battery in our phone that can die kind of thing because you run out of energy. Well, energy never really runs out. It just flows somewhere else. You can't ever change energy. It is what it is, although you can raise or lower the vibration of the energy. So energy is a pretty set thing in the sense that it's not like wood, raw wood, that you can turn into a desk. You can convert it. Well, energy doesn't work that way. Energy is energy, and as I said, it flows and you can raise or lower the frequency, but that's about it. What does that mean when it comes to your manifestation? It means that in order to attract your desires, and in order to ensure that the law of attraction can more easily and quickly bring you what you desire, you need to understand how energy flows. Energy flows in two directions. It flows assertively and receptively. That's to say that it either goes or it comes. And when you think about it, that's really what you do with your energy. You either send your energy out, asserting it, or you receive energy, receiving it. This is really important, and important to know, because if you are activating a different energy like worry or concern, and let's say that you're hoping to manifest a date Friday night, well, you are really in activating the worry and concern. In being worried and concerned, you're asserting that energy out. You're putting it out. You're putting it out. Then law of attraction, which is kind of like a mirror, it really brings it back to you. It says, oh, here's your energy, and here it is right back for you. So then you receive it, whether you are aware of it or not, whether you like it or not. Then, you worry, and the worry turns into either a bad date, or you manifest your worry, and your worry, let's say, is that you're not going to get a call back. You're not going to be called to go out on a date, and sure enough, then it doesn't happen. So I hope you got a sense of that, because it is a subtle thing, but it makes all the difference in the world. When we're manifesting and we can really be aware of our energy and we can work with the flows of energy, well, then we're going to be able to manifest far more quickly, far more effectively. So let's look at that. When we are going to manifest something, and you'll pardon me, I want to look at my notes so that I hit everything that I wanted to talk to you about. You might notice that when you first have the idea or the desire for something that you want to experience, something you want to be, do, or have, well, that is an energy that comes to you. You really receive it. Some people say that it is a desire, désir, which means it's of God, of the Sir, that's God. In other words, your desire comes from deep within you, from something higher than you. Call it your God, call it your source energy, that's what I call it. Whatever, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that desire comes from somewhere. You get the energy to the desire, and then you have to receive that desire and kind of be with it and see what you want to do with it. So like, let's say you get a desire to move. Well, then you'd have to figure out where you want to move to. So you receive the desire, and then you have to do some playing with that energy to see where it is that you want it to go, where you want to go, where you want this, how you want this really to manifest, what kind of experience it is that you want. So as you do, what happens is you take that desire, like the desire, for example, to move, and you start to find more and more energy around it. In other words, if you just have a desire and you don't think about it much, you don't hold the desire much, it kind of comes and goes, as many things do, many ideas do, many desires do, although not real deep desires, then what happens is it really can just come and go. Like, let's say that this weekend you'd really like to go to the beach, but you get busy thinking about something else, or you have bigger fish to fry kind of thing, whether it's bigger desires or bigger problems, and you simply don't pay attention anymore. Then that one thought, that one piece of your desire, it's kind of like sand in the wind. It kind of comes and then it gets blown away and it's gone. Your desire might disappear, your desire might persist, but in any case, unless you're adding to it, it is really not ever going to manifest because it doesn't have enough to attract with. Law of attraction looks at you, looks at your energy, and it says, I see a little desire to go to the beach, but there's all these other energies that are more active, and these are the ones I'm going to reflect. So then you don't experience that one desire. So what's going on is, as I said, we receive what we desire. Then we need to do some asserting into that energy by thinking, by feeling, by dreaming. Where would I like to live in my desire, my example of a desire of a move? Where would I like to go? What do I want it to be like? The more you ask yourself questions and the more you play with it, the more you start to grow the energy. Let's use a metaphor that you can really understand because it'll be real tangible for you. Let's say that the move is going to be a cake in a kitchen. So for the move, metaphorically speaking, you have a desire to make a cake. So here's the whole idea behind it. You have the thought for the cake. Let's say you get the recipe and you're like, yeah, I'd really like to have a cake. So you've received the idea and now you have that one point, the recipe, because you went and got the recipe. You asserted, you did something and you got the recipe. Then the truth is you have to do the same to gather your ingredients. You're not going to make a cake out of just a recipe. You need the flour, the butter, the sugar, the flavoring, all of the different things that you're going to mix together. You need the stove. You need all of these things to use your recipe and make the cake. So when we are manifesting something like a move or any other desire you have, it is the same exact thing. You need to bring some basic ingredients together. And obviously it's not the real ingredients, but just like flour can make cake, it can make waffles, it can make bread, it can make many different things, you're using it in a certain way to make the cake. Well, the same is true. So you have to bring ingredients, energies together that you're then going to allow to become that move in this example. So do you get a sense so far? We have allowed the energy to come in the desire, and now we're putting the energy in order by thinking about it, by bringing things together, by taking some aligned actions and gathering, in this case, our ingredients, that kind of thing. Next, we hold it, and by holding it and by putting these things together, we're doing two things. We are activating the energy, so then law of attraction starts to see the energy and will more quickly bring it to us. And number two, we're also really letting ourselves hold it and kind of get it real active. Because energy flows, the more you're thinking about it, the more you're talking about it, the more you're taking inspired actions, the more you really activate the energy of what you want to manifest. So do you get a good sense of all of those? Because we're working the different flows of energy. Next, we're going to use the law of repetition to really put it out there, because it isn't until we really do some more talking about it, put those ingredients together, and for a move, talk about it, do some research, look at some possible places where we might live, until we're really taking those aligned actions and being assertive, putting our energy out there, nothing's going to happen. But here's the real trick. So on the one hand, we're going to be taking those actions, talking about it, dreaming about it, doing whatever creative things you like. You could do a vision board, you can research it, you're putting it out there in that way. You're asserting your idea by putting it out into the form of a vision board, into the form of conversation with your friend, into the form of research. Then at the same time, you have to make room for and really allow the flow in. You could say that at this point, in a real allowing kind of place, you have to let law of attraction bring it to you. So we're asserting and we're receiving at the same time. We're working energy in both directions, in both flows. As we receive it, what happens is we have to let ourselves be totally open with the idea of living somewhere we hadn't thought of. We need to be totally open with the idea of, who knows what it's really going to be like. We've researched it, maybe we've picked a neighborhood we want to live in, or let's say we've said, no, I really want an apartment, but you have to be open and allowing of whatever experience comes. You have to be open and allowing. Maybe you wanted to go next week and you're not going to go until next year, or maybe vice versa. When you are receptive, you are allowing law of attraction to bring it to you. You really open to the ideas. So it's a little tricky, but it's really about working both of those flows. Now, I'm talking to you about this because none of it is anything that you necessarily have to know. I mean, you've manifested things all the time. Although one thing I always say in my manifesting class is we're all masters of manifestation. Think of all the things that you haven't liked and haven't wanted that you've manifested. You're really good at it. Now the trick is to get conscious about it and manifest the things that you do want. Do it intentionally. So, I'm talking about this because you do want to get conscious about it, but also because when you are manifesting in your spiritual partnership, well, that's just an amazing, phenomenal thing. Because what happens is, in a spiritual partnership, you don't have to do both of these flows. I know that the whole idea is a little complex, and it is because, you're having to be aware of your energy, be aware of the flow of energy, watch, yourself kind of go backward and forward at the same time, in the sense that you're asserting and you're receiving at the same time. But you can make all of this so simple when you're in a spiritual partnership. In a spiritual partnership, what happens is that you start to use the asserting energy, which is really a masculine flow of energy, and the receiving energy, which is really a feminine flow of energy, together. Just the way you would to create a child. When the masculine and feminine come together and they're made to fit together kind of thing, and he asserts into her and she receives, then what happens is a seed is planted and she holds the seed and they both talk about a nursery, that kind of thing, and then in 9 months, there you go. It just happens. Well, the same can happen with your manifestations. When you are working with your spiritual partner, she might come up with the idea, the dream, or you might come up with it together, because that totally happens when you are connected at the energetic level of a spiritual partnership. She comes up with the idea, or you both do. She has some ideas about the idea, because that's what that feminine energy does and is. It directs the ideas in this way. Then she says to him, look, here's what I think we should do, or here are some options, or here are the pros and cons, and out of everything I've looked at, I've narrowed it down for you, and here are the things that you should really focus on. Then he comes along, he looks at those, he makes a choice, and he decides how to lead, which is the masculine flow, and really assert that out. So for my husband and I, what that has looked like is, for example, one of the funnest times that we had this happen was when we moved. We both had the desire, but I really had the desire strong to move. And I worked energetically with it. And then one day, after I really worked with it one night, in the morning we woke up and he said, I've got it. I know how to make it happen. It was something we had been talking about. It was something we were both interested in, but we were like, don't know how this is going to ever happen, because we were in a position where we had an office that we were renting downtown with our marketing business, our marketing agency. We had a home with a mortgage, a daughter in school. This was mid-year. We had pets that we wouldn't be able to necessarily take, because a lot of smaller places won't take animals, and we had been owning land, and now we were going to go have to rent something. So we really were in this setup where it wasn't plausible. And yet my husband woke up one morning. I had the energy. I was there. I was like, I know I want it. I just don't know how it can happen. He woke up and he said, I know how to make it happen. And at that point, he took some actions and he made some calls and he did the research, and it all totally fell into place. All of these implausible things became so plausible that within a month we had moved. We resolved all of these things. They just fell into place. The thing is, that is what I would call manifesting not 2 times as powerfully, but like to the power of 10 or 100. Because it wasn't just me and what I could attract. It wasn't just me and my husband and what we could both attract, but it becomes what we can both attract plus our God, our source energy, whatever you want to call it. At that point, the universe really conspires to support you. We couldn't have figured out how it could have worked out. And this is only one example where we've come together and worked something together and really attracted something powerful together. So, instead of trying to take on the manifesting process by yourself, just talking to your spiritual partner, just taking your relationship to that level where you're sharing your dreams and you're allowing your energies to combine, because then, just as it does in a sexual relationship, her energy that is receptive combines with his energy that is assertive, and it kind of explodes to make a far more powerfully attractive and fall together, have the universe conspire to support you kind of manifestation. Whether it is so that you have a stronger power couple in yourselves, a more attractive couple in yourselves that can attract a lot more of your dreams, or dreams themselves, whether you want to really work on some joint dreams together. It can make for a far quicker and kind of really magical experience, because there's nothing better than 2 people having the same desire at the same time, working it together, and then having it really attract and come bigger and better than you could have possibly imagined. So whether you are working on your own or whether you're in a partnership and you can work together, I hope that I've helped you get a sense of what energy really is and how you can work with it. It sounds a little complex at first, but you'll get it. And when you get it, it's a really neat thing and it's really fun. And even if you don't get the sensation of the energy, you know how to take the actions now. And so as you work those all together, you orchestrate them, it becomes simpler, and then you become far more attractive. And you allow law of attraction to bring your dreams effortlessly.